Thank you.
As we always do here on House to Home, Liz, Gina, myself, Jason, we are bringing you information you need to know about not only the real estate transactions, but also the real estate market. And something that we have been covering for a while now is EPA involvement in the real estate industry. And I want to kind of like paraphrase here. Guam homeowners could be in violation, a substantial number of them, ladies, for not being hooked up to a public sewer that is with a public sewer line that's within 500 feet of their residence. GWA does have a loan available for such affected people. However, it's been noted that not that many people are taking advantage of that. To you, I pose the question, why?
Well, it could be a cost prohibitive. And part of that, we just spoke with someone about what is the cost to connect. So I worked for EPA many moons ago, like 20, 30 years. And the rule about hooking up to sewer within 500 feet was already in place way back when in I think it was like the 80s. So whether Guam EPA or Guam Water Works followed through with that law, and now in talking to a contractor, it's pretty pricey to connect to the sewer. So if you're looking at 200 to 300 per lineal foot, and Gina and I first started talking about it, and we thought, wait, maybe 10,000. But when you start to do the numbers, it could be 30,000, it could be 60,000, depending on how the distance from your home to connect. But there are other factors. So we're talking lineal foot. And then we're talking manhole, that if they had to connect and install a manhole within so many feet, that's another cost factor. And then the terrain, the topography, and where the turns would be towards the property. So those are added factors, cost factors to connection. So if you're telling me that, hey, you could connect, but it's going to cost me 60 to 80,000 for me to connect, and then I have to turn around and pay the government that amount, how many people can really afford that?
Okay, and now, Gina, I'd like to pivot this question to you, because now that Liz has given us the context of the factor winds up being cost, is this a fixed or variable cost? And is this a one-time or recurring cost?
So it's going to be one time. Let's say you, because GWA, there's a report out there, and I think the last time we've been reviewing these reports because of this issue with EPA that we've been trying to deal with since last year, and more specifically with the need for the government to adopt a type 4 nitrate reducing system on Guam, which hasn't been addressed. We've been bringing this up. We've been talking to the senators.
We should make a song about it. You brought it so many times, and we'll play it on our radio station.
Except I can't sing very well, so I'll just stick to talking about it.
Okay, poetry then.
But okay, so the issue here is the nitrate reducing systems, that the government has not adopted the law, and so I think it needs to start there. That's my feeling about this whole thing is, if you're really that concerned, start with something simple, something easy. Adopt the law, put it in place, put in regulations the regulations that will identify the process to have this system be available. Okay, that's number one. Start with something easy, which is that, right? Number two is it's a one-time fee, because what they're talking about is that the law that Liz mentioned has been in the books for a long time, and it says that if your property is within 500 feet of a sewer line, a government sewer line, that you must tap into that, you must connect. So, Liz did some research, talked to a local certified plumber who does this for a living, and he said right now the cost is 200 to 300, maybe 350 per lineal foot. So that's your distance from where you're at to that main line. And so he said, that's what the cost is, but he did say there are a lot of variables, because EPA requires and GWA require that if for every 200 to 250 feet, you need a manhole. That's a separate fee.
Hmm.
You need to pay for an engineering plan to get this. You can't just start digging and lay sewer line. You got to pay somebody to make an engineering plan. That's a separate fee. You got to pay. I mean, you got to get the permit to do it. That's a separate fee.
Sorry, and
So
when you say manhole, does this mean that the manhole, the supposition is that it would be over like some sort of like asphalt covered roadway, or because I've never seen a manhole like in, on GWA red dirt. I'm just, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're only talking about GWA red dirt, but this, for instance, what if I live in Parisville and the sewer
Precisely.
lines there? Because I bring that up because I saw the reports, and there are homes in Parisville and Jonestown. In that GWA report, you can go online and find the report, guys. It's there. They identified, so when GWA did this study, they identified 1,800 homes that are not connected to sewer, but have sewer within 500 feet. But let me tell you, so is it cost or is it everything? I think it's everything, because 500 feet amounts, just with no other circumstance except 200, you're paying $200 per lineal foot, and you're 500 feet away. That's 100,000.
Yeah.
So Jace, if you're 500 feet, would you gladly go to GWA and say, okay, I'd love to avail myself of your loan program so I could go hire an engineer to do the plans, go get a building permit so that I could put the sewer line in, and then hire a contractor who's certified to do sewer lines? Could you see yourself doing this? I can't see myself voluntarily walking in there and saying, yeah, let me add on another $100,000 so I can, it's everything. It isn't just the cost. So that's 500.
There is the imposition of, I don't want to say hardship, but I mean, like it is going to set you back with, with the construction. And, to be fair, after we're done with this interview, I'm going to reach out to Miguel Bordallo, the general manager of GWA, to see if we can get at least their perspective and say the value proposition that they're bringing to the table, and possibly why they think, and it's not like nobody's availing of this. It's just very few Guamanians aren't taking them up on this. So,
but just think about it, Jason. Your grandmother, or Tan Maria down the street.
Yeah.
She's been in her home for 30, 40 years. And then you come and you say, Tan Maria, you have to hook to the sewer. And Tan Maria is what, 70 or 80 years old. And she goes, what? And then you issue a violation and penalties. And what is Tan Maria going to do? Tell me. I mean, so there's
going to say, I that sewer.
Well, let me point out, the law does
That's
not.
That's probably her life savings for Tan Maria.
Well, maybe she doesn't have a life savings. Honestly,
exactly.
Can the three of us see ourselves wanting to pay, at 500 feet, so approximately 100,000, at 250 feet, you're at 50,000. I mean, could you see yourself paying 20,000 to connect sewer? Because I think if the sewer is right there in front of your house, it's probably 15 to 20,000. But the thing is, I just wonder why we can't start with the very simple basics. And by the way, it's not just penalties. They actually say in the law that they can turn off your water because, if you don't have water running through your home, then it's not contributing to the pollution in the aquifer, right? But I'm just saying, the point I want to get across is right now, there is so much our government could do to eliminate, if not completely help with the issue of polluting the aquifer. Number one, adopt the type 4 facility. What are we all doing? Come on, guys, that's like the number one most effective way to do it in areas without sewer. Number two, why isn't the government identifying their leaky sewer lines and fixing that first, and then using the system development fee to put in more sewer lines in areas that are really developing, because we have a housing shortage? I mean, why are we looking at Tan Maria to solve this, or Jason or Gina or Liz to connect to sewer, when the government can proactively do things right now that will help with this issue? Why are we just putting the consumers on?
With my financial situation, I'm going to say I'm basically just going to hold off on that as long as I can until they tell me we're literally going to shut you off, and then I say, okay, well, now I'm in dire straits.
Well, we've been working with the senators to try to pass a law, and we've been going back and forth with Senator Sabina Perez. We're trying to meet with her right now in person to figure out, election came and went, and now it's 2023. we need to work on this bill to finalize it to address that particular issue for the type 4 facilities to hopefully be in place. And then even when it does go in place, then there's government policies and regulations that will have to be put in place as well. And that might take a while. So time, there's so many factors now that we got to start looking at what are the solutions.
Time, cost, and headache, I guess.
Yeah, we keep presenting here is one solution, but it really doesn't solve the problem.
Okay.
There are other factors we need to work on.
Exactly. Well, we're going to end on there, and again, we'll try and get somebody from GWA, in the interest of fairness, so we can hear like their side of the story too. So, ladies, thank you as always. This was absolutely fascinating and very revelatory,
Hey,
I would think.
Jason, I want to bring out one more item. So if people, let's say Gina connected to the water or the sewer line, and she spent 60 or 80,000, and then they tell her, well, no problem, you're going to get that money back. The government entities are not forcing her to have the ability to recover the expense that she put in. That's another factor. And when you go to the government entities, whether it's Guam Power or Guam Water Works, they're stating, oh, we don't enforce it. But they enforced it to have you connect to serve your area in your neighborhood, but will not enforce collection to offset the original expense. So anyway.
So there is somewhat of an imbalance. We'll touch base definitely with this on next week, because we are by no means done with this issue. So okay, we'll tackle this next week. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Jace.